And good evening. I'm glad you're here. Look forward to worshiping with you tonight. Izzy so graciously volunteered to sing a song for us tonight. By volunteering, she didn't tell me no. And then I kind of jumped the gun and everybody overheard the conversation. So we're going to open up with Izzy a song before the kids go downstairs. But let's open up in a word of prayer. Good evening, God. Thank you. Just thank you for this day and thank you for the blessings that we get to come together. Father, I'm thankful the kids, I'm hearing a little excitement in their voice. They're getting ready to go down and they're going to start telling their stories to present the gospel. And Father, what an opportunity that is. And I think they're sharing Esther tonight or whoever, but whatever, I just ask right now that you keep that excitement. Help it flow over into us as a church. After all, we learned Sunday that we do have a resurrection, a resurrected Savior who conquered death, hell, and the grave, and He did it for us. He did it because He loved us. Father, tonight as we look at John chapter 4 and the first part of chapter 5, I pray that you bless us as an adults, bless the kids downstairs, and right now, Father, give Izzy the words, the calmness, and let her bless our hearts through your Son's name, Jesus. For it's in His name that we pray. Amen.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I'm weak. And you say I'm held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me.
This. I hope it gets loud. It's the kids. It's the youth. The youth leader just said he hopes it gets loud downstairs. I hope it gets loud. If it don't get loud, you ain't done something right. Just kidding. Well, he closed the door, so maybe he didn't want to get loud. It'll be great. John chapter 4. John chapter 4, starting in verse number 43. Hope you had a good week. We got a fresh face here tonight. We hadn't seen that face in a while. She's here every Sunday, and she's here all the time, and she's one of my favorite church members. Somebody turn around and look at her. It's funny how her face can go from normal Caucasian look to solid red in just a matter of seconds. No, this is her first Wednesday night in a long time and her last Wednesday night in a long time, so it'll be okay. I got my shot in. All right, well, good evening, and we're glad that you're here. Look forward to looking at these two chapters. And when God told me to walk through the book of John, I don't know what He meant, but I'm pleased to this point that He is pleased as we're just breaking it down story by story, section by section. And of course, last week we took the week off for the getting ready for Easter and everything that entailed. So I just hope that we can continue to look at this and be blessed by this. And today we're going to look at the story of how Jesus healed the official's son. It's a lot to take in. John chapter 43 says, "And after 2 days he departed and went to Galilee. For Jesus himself testified, a prophet hath no honor in his own country." And if you think about it, that's still kind of holds true today. The place you grew up in, it's hard to be the one. Now I know there's county officials that's never left the county, and they've rose to power, and they have great respect and great honor, and I understand that. And but you see, Jesus did it a little differently. Okay, He was the second, John was the first, but Jesus really was the first, and He had a different view. But it's still a little bit true. But what Jesus was doing, His own country rejected Him. Now, by His own country rejecting Him, what did Jesus do? Did He lay around and sulk? Did He just say, forget it. My father must have messed up. That whole virgin birth thing, it's not real. I don't know. I don't understand. No, He didn't say none of that. He says, okay, I'm good, I'm done. So by them rejecting Him, where did He go? He went to Jerusalem. Would He have gone to Jerusalem anyway? Maybe so. But if you're not welcomed in your hometown, it kind of just sped the process up, and He said, forget it. And I think this is where He told the disciples, go to the edge of the city. If they don't listen, dust your sandals off. Leave the dust there and go to the next town. I think that's where Jesus come up with this. Like, you're not going to listen to me in Nazareth, although we have a song in our hymn book, Jesus the Nazarene, then I'm going to go. And I'm going to go to Jerusalem, and I'm going to tackle this. And I'm going to do what my Father told me to do. And so when he arrived, then when he was in Galilee, the Galileans received Him, having seen things that He did in Jerusalem at the feast, for they were also at the feast. Jesus being Jesus. Once he visited Cana in Galilee, He turned the water into wine. And there with the royal officials lay sick. One of the royal officials lay sick in Capernaum. And when the man heard that Jesus arrived in Galilee from Judea, he begged Him, come heal my son who lay sick. When was the last time you begged Jesus? "13-year-old Brock had a cute little girlfriend. Not as cute as my wife. Had a cute little girlfriend, and he wanted to take her to the movies. Daddy, I want to take her to the movies. Her mama says she can go, and I say she can go, and she says she can go. I need 2 things, Dad. I need about $15 and you take me? Please? Nope, we don't have $15 and I don't have the time. Mom, Dad won't give me $15 and says you don't have time to take me. Will you please talk to Dad? Okay. I begged and pleaded for about 2 days to get to go see a movie. It cost my parents like $30 because they had to go sit in the back of the movie theater while I sat in the middle of the movie theater looking over my shoulder the whole time. But I'm glad they did. It was fun. But I begged and pleaded because it was something I wanted. When was the last time you begged and pleaded with Jesus? Now, I'm not meaning in a rude, disrespectful way. But when was the last time you begged and pleaded? Like, hey, Jesus, reveal to me what you want me to do. Point me in the direction that you would have me to go. I think that's appropriate. I think that's appropriate. Like I said, it can't be rude and disrespectful. But I don't think, my mom always says, I don't care what you call me as long as you call me. I think Jesus cares what we call him, wants our respect, and it earns our respect. But why don't we just call on him? Just talk to him. Just ask him. And when verse 47, because my son's about to die, so verse 48, excuse me. Unless you people see signs and wonders, Jesus told them, you will never believe. Can I raise my hand? Can I raise my hand to that? Thomas. A lot of people. Jesus says, you're not going to believe until you see the signs and wonders. The official said, sir, I don't know about all those signs and wonder stuff. I just know what you did in Jerusalem. And I need you to come down and to do it to my son, please. Please. I need you to come do that to my son so that he will live. Then Jesus, and then verse 50 said, go, your son will live. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. I thought Jesus was this awesome guy and he was going to help and he helped everybody else. Why couldn't he help me? Why could he not help my son? Why could he not help my son? You know who else would have acted like that? Since we're pointing fingers tonight, I believe that's how I would have acted. Look, I just asked you for one simple favor, and I'm a city official, so I'm probably going to compensate you some money for you walking down and touching my son and making him better. It's not our will, but God's will. Not our time, but God's time. Not our way of doing it, but God's way. Paul Harvey would say what? Now the rest of the story. While he was on his way, his servants came and met him. Oh, master, whatever they would have called him. Hey, listen, your son is healed. His fever broke and you're good to go. He's great. He's going to live. He's going to make it. Jesus said he was going to live. Whoa, what time? What time? What time did this happen? I'm getting excited because this guy's getting excited. Wait a minute. What time did this happen? Oh, it was about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. About 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Okay. Wait a minute. I was talking to Jesus about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Talk about a humbling experience. That daddy had a humbling experience. The daddy, I said what I said. Well, that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted Jesus to come heal my son. Well, that's exactly what you got. That's exactly what you got. You got Jesus being Jesus, even when we didn't think he could be Jesus. He was Jesus. So I'm sure that daddy, I know I've had a sick kid all night long, and when that fever breaks, whoo! I could imagine, now we thought the girls were going, they could have had it, one time got 104 and we were panicking and we did all this and another. I'm sure if my kid was laying there and in death, near death, it'd be, some of y'all have been there, it'd be a little more exciting. But he got up and left. And because of that, the family believed. I'm thinking about the story of Thomas who we'll get to probably in 3 or 4 months, the way we're going. That's okay. That's okay. He said, unless you see, you will not believe. Well, folks, I wasn't there that day, but I believe that Jesus healed that baby. Boy, I don't know how old he was. That Jesus healed that man's son. I've seen other things that may not have been life-altering for the whole world, but it was life-altering for me. I prayed one time, and the old country song, I thank God for unanswered prayers. So many times I thank God for unanswered prayers. Do you? Do you? Because God's got a plan, and God's got a will and a purpose for your life. The point of this story I want us to draw to is, go talk to Jesus. Go beg Him, if you will. Spend time with Him. And then when He tells you something, it's going to happen. It's going to come true. This official probably wasted 24 hours of his life mad at Jesus in misery because he did not have the faith. Did not have the faith that Jesus was going to heal him. When Jesus speaks, it's over and done. Listen to Jesus. Listen to Jesus. Chapter 5 opens up, and now sometime later, Jesus went to Jerusalem for the Jewish festivals. You see, Jesus had good Christian parents. Now, we know that Mary was still alive when Jesus was on the cross, and it's our belief, and it's pretty close to the time, about the time Jesus began His public ministry, His father Joseph died. Okay? There's some early transcripts and writing. It's not in the Bible. It's just some commentaries and stuff that I've read along the way. And Joseph has even said, don't forget the teachings of your mother. Don't forget the teachings of your mother. Implying that Mary did a good job of raising Jesus. Well, I think Mary did a phenomenal job of raising Jesus. Matter of fact, she raised the perfect baby. You saw mine go downstairs. I tell you they're perfect, but you know they're not, okay? So they're as perfect to me as they can be. But they went to the Jewish festivals. By the time Jesus was just a toddler, probably even an infant, they made the pilgrimage to Jerusalem for the festivals. It's about a 3 or 4 day journey. She just didn't decide, hey, I want to go to Jerusalem. So he went to this. This was very common for Jesus to go. Remember age 12? They sent him. He went and he stayed for 3 days. And then he finally went back home. So here, pull up the picture, Michael, if you don't care. Now this picture right here will show you what this perfect thing is. This is why I got my pointer. While they were there at the sheep gate, the sheep gate is somewhere right in through here. Okay, this is the other side of the sheep gate. Over here is where Jesus died. You can see this is the eastern wall. And right here is the pool of Bethesda, and right here is the sheep gate. Who enters and exits the temple through the sheep gate? Sheep gate. All the common people. You and I. Well, you would. Can I brag for a second? I would get to go through the other gate because I'm the pastor. Okay? But before you say a word about me being proud and humble, you know who walked through that gate? Jesus. So while proud preacher Brock gets to go around over here on the north side and come in, the perfect one, the one you walked in with, went right there. The pool of Bethesda, you can see it on the map. I'm not going to point anymore because I will tear the screen up and get in trouble. The pool of Bethesda was kind of like, it was basically filled with salt water. Okay? And it was warm, and they would stir the water, and they would get it boiling, and just the circulation, and you would get in it, and you would feel better. Have you ever spent time in a hot tub? Don't you just feel better? Don't you just feel better? Hot Springs down in Georgia, where Franklin Delano Roosevelt, where he established his second home. He would go down, and even just across the hill that's a big hill, across the mountain in Hot Springs, North Carolina, the water comes out of the ground piping hot. And you would lay in and you would soothe, and people would go in and they would be healed and everything. And there was a great number that were healed: the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. And one day there was a man who had been an invalid for 38 years. 38 years, the life expectancy then was about 50 years old. So we can basically assume that his whole life he was an invalid, probably born that way. Would be taken to the temple gate or taken to the pool of Bethesda. Jesus walked by and saw him laying there for a long time. Do you not want to get well? Said Jesus. Do you not want to be made whole? He said, well, every time I go to get up or get in the pool, somebody's faster than me and they get my spot in the pool, so I can't move fast enough and nobody will help me in. Now, I find this story interesting. You know the story of Peter and John healing the man outside the sheep gate who laid there his whole life, who was begging for alms. Did you notice that Jesus walked by him? If he laid at the sheep gate every day, and Jesus went to the temple every day he was in Jerusalem, do you not think Jesus walked by that paralyzed man sitting there and he didn't help him? Well, first of all, I think that guy had a special plan, and I think God was going to use him to reveal the power to John and Peter. Silver and gold have I none, but in the name of Jesus, get up and walk. Okay? All right? So, then we get into this story. Jesus walked by the pool of Bethesda every day that he went to the temple. That same guy was there every day. Why didn't Jesus heal him 2 years earlier? Why didn't Jesus heal him when he was a 12-year-old boy? Because it's all about Jesus' timing. It's all about the will and the purpose that God has for your life. And it's all about His timing. You may have been promised something years ago. I think of the story of Abraham and Sarah. Brianna asked me the other day, it might have been yesterday, it might have been Monday, I don't know, it was just a week. What would have happened had David's first son lived? Remember? Bathsheba? What would have happened? She said, would history have been rewritten? I said, I don't know. We get the story of Ishmael and Abraham. It would have definitely been different. But he didn't. Because why? That wasn't part of God's will and God's plan. God's will and God's plan has to be supreme. It has to be there. And we have to understand that it's His timing and it's His will. And He said to the invalid, He said, I have no help. Jesus said in verse number 8, then pick up your mat, rise and walk. Take up thy bed and walk. Get up and go. Dude, I've been laying here for 38 years, and you're going to walk by and tell me to get up and walk? Notice what the man did. What did he do? He was so eager to be healed. He got up. He didn't say, sir, I can't walk. I'm sure he thought, what's going on? But hey, let me try it. So he got up and he walked. He was so excited, he picked up his bed and took it with him. He walking around town toting his bed. Hey, look, I've been laying in this bed for 38 years. Now look at me. Well, that kind of got Jesus in trouble. Or did it? Or did it? The good old back row, middle row, front row, side row church leaders of that day And I said that because no matter where you sit, you can act like this. I said, "Sir, it's Sunday. Thou shalt," I'm sure they did this, "thou shalt not walk and carry thy bed on Sunday." Dude's like, no disrespect, but dude's like, "Yeah, but the guy that told me to take up my bed and walk, that healed me, told me to take up my bed and walk, so I figured I better take up my bed and walk. It worked." Wait a minute, who healed you? Notice what Jesus did here. Jesus healed the man, and Jesus, the verse I'd have to find, immediately the man was made whole. The Jewish leaders on the Sabbath day, they answered him, "Take up the bed and walk." They asked him, "What man?" in verse number 12. And he said he couldn't see him, that Jesus had went back into the multitudes. Jesus had hidden away. Jesus had gotten away. Jesus didn't follow that man around saying, "I healed him." He got lost in the crowd, verse 13. Yeah, verse 13. He had got lost in the crowd, and he couldn't figure out where Jesus was. Jesus, knowing what was going to happen, in verse number 14, later that day, Jesus found the man at the temple. "See, you're well again. Stop sinning, or something else may happen to you. Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee." The man went away and told the religious leaders that Jesus had made him well. I feel that God has made this a point for us, and I hope that we're catching this point. That man didn't know who Jesus was, but he knew who those religious leaders were. He weren't scared of those religious leaders. He would rather have taken the punishment for carrying his bed around. It was probably a pretty punishable offense. You didn't sin on the Sabbath. It had all kinds of rules. You couldn't walk no more than 1 mile on the Sabbath. So if your girlfriend lived 3/4 of a mile away, you could walk to her house, but you couldn't walk back home. Well, that'd lead to some trouble. Silly rules. But when it comes to Jesus, it's okay. We need to make sure, though, that we're listening to Jesus. Many of us hide behind a Facebook post nowadays, or hide behind a phone call, or hide behind, "Well, that's what Jesus told me." Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Be sure. Know that you know. Know that you know. And I said that man got Jesus in trouble. But did he really? All it did was expose Jesus in a good way of who he was and what he was about. Now listen, I'll promise you this. Jesus knew all the rules. Jesus knew all the laws. Jesus followed all the rules and all the laws. I'm not saying he was a rebel rouser and a rule breaker, except for when it comes to salvation, except for when it comes to doing his Father's business. And he said, "I'm going to do my Father's business. I don't care who it offends." What if we were like that? What if we did God's business and not worry about anything? The problem is, we're looking over our shoulder. We're looking over our back. We'll take a stand and then turn around and look. What happened there? Two things to note from this story. It's got several things. It's God's will and God's timing. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. It's His will, it's His timing. It'll happen. Be patient. And Jesus, for a little while, maybe a couple hours, it doesn't really say, but it's within that same day, Jesus ran and hid, and he let that man have the glory. He let that man have the glory. He let things settle down a little bit. And then only as Jesus can do, he circled the wagon and he came back in and he found that man. He didn't scold that man at the first. He said, get up and go. Go show yourself to the religious leaders is what Jesus meant to say. He didn't say it. But he knew what was going to happen. Then Jesus come around and scolded him a little bit. Go and don't sin no more, for this could happen to you again. Take the teachings of Jesus. Take the teachings of Jesus. Take it very serious. Now, as far as we know, the man did just that. And Jesus departed, verse 15, and he told the Jews that Jesus was the one who made him whole. And therefore the Jews began to persecute Jesus. We'll pick back up at verse 16 later on. But I want us to note this. It's all about Jesus' timing. Two of our different stories today. Jesus did what he said he was going to do. And it happened. In your life, Jesus will do what he said he's going to do. It will happen. We just got to trust and have the faith that it does. Thank you for being here tonight. Don't forget to pat Izzy on the back. I know we don't do things for self-gratification, but these kids didn't know they done a good job. If you don't think she did a good job, don't say anything to her. But pat her on the back. Let her know she did a good job. And thank her for singing for us. Most importantly, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a loving church. And as you heard the kids a little bit downstairs, I hope you're ready. They're excited. We got the Home Run Derby coming up this weekend, a chance to plant some seeds. And then I know this Sunday we're covering 2 sayings of the cross. I'm looking at maybe 3 weeks to get them knocked out. I'm not going to rush them. So we're going to cover the sayings of Jesus, the 7 sayings on the cross. And we're going to do that. Don't forget to be in prayer for each other, pray for our church, invite someone to be here, but most importantly, church, we're finally getting it. Let's serve on, church. Serve on. Thank you.